Hi, my name is Jeremy Barnett. I'm a therapist in private practice, and I specialize in grief and bereavement. So in this week's Small Talk, hosted by MyWellbeing, I'll try to answer the question, how can I cope with the death of a loved one? While there's no one way or right way to cope with the loss, grief is hugely misunderstood by our society, which often results in unnecessary additional emotions, such as guilt or anger, on top of the already heavy grief. While it can be very painful, it's important to realize that grief is a result of the love and connection made with another person or pet, and it's our ability to grieve that partly makes us human. With that said, the first coping skill is acceptance. Everyone's relationships are unique, and all losses are experienced at 100%. So shed yourself of the societal expectations and your own expectations on what grief should look like, and how long it should last. This way, you'll be able to focus solely on your unique grief experience without feeling burdened by those previously mentioned secondary emotions. During intense grief, it's common to feel emotionally out of control, making it extremely challenging to continue tending to daily responsibilities, such as work, raising kids, or even self-care. One way to work on this is what's called the grief prescription, or simply the idea that you must allow your grief the time and space it needs to fully integrate. An important fact to remember here is that with grief, the only way out is through. So the more you avoid or suppress your grief, the more problems it will cause on the line. So schedule out a time each day to tend to your grief, and just do what feels most comfortable for you during this time. You'll find the more you tend to your grief, the easier it should feel to manage these emotions throughout the day. So what does tending to grief or mourning look like? Well, having a daily journal to document thoughts and feelings about the loved one, as well as creating a timeline or graph of the relationship, helps to bring organization to the often unpredictable and scattered thoughts that come up. Reading books and watching movies or TV shows that involve grief can also be therapeutic, and many of these resources can be found online. Going for a walk can allow the mind to wander and process while providing an outlet for trauma stored in the body. Engaging in religious or spiritual activities, if appropriate, can instill a sense of peace and community. Spending time in a new location for a few days or weeks will provide the opportunity to tend to internal thoughts and feelings without constantly feeling activated by external stimuli in the environment. And allocate one or two people in your life that you trust fully to be your grief partners throughout this journey. Lean on them for support. Your grief needs to be fully witnessed and validated. If you lack support, join a group or seek a trained therapist. Whatever you do, just find somebody to talk to. If at any point the people that support you start comparing their losses with yours, tell you what to do or how you should feel, or give any mention of timelines or the speed at which you're grieving, then you need to find other people who are more willing or able to support you in your unique experience. Some people find meaning in visiting the cemetery, lighting candles, engaging in rituals that have significance for the relationship. So search for what provides meaning for you and hold that close. Now let's talk about the body in the context of grief. I know you've probably heard this countless times already, but it's worth mentioning that sleep, exercise, and healthy eating are extremely important always, but especially following the loss of a loved one. While grief is an intense emotional experience, it also provides a shock to our bodies that causes sleepless nights and a lack of appetite, pleasure, and drive. This is the perfect opportunity for you to start ramping up that self-care. Take this opportunity to learn how to cook nutritious food, create an exercise regime, attend yoga classes, and allow your body ample time to sleep because you will need it. I also highly recommend mindful meditation, deep breathing exercises, massage, and a specific type of yoga called grief yoga, which is the work of Paul Denniston, who you can also find online. Also, a word on crying. Crying is the body's way of discharging traumatic energy. It is not a sign of weakness, despite our society's discomfort with it. Tears are evidence of love, and as human beings, we're lucky to have this built-in coping mechanism, so take advantage of it. With all this said, I have to highlight that in addition to coping with challenging and overwhelming emotions, it's important to allow yourself the opportunity to try to continue experiencing life, soaking in positivity, making new connections, and doing what generally feels good. Many people get stuck on this idea that experiencing good moments in grief is disrespectful, as it means you have moved on or forgotten the one that you loved. You will not forget your loss or move on. Instead, you will change and grow as you integrate a different type of relationship with the deceased into a new life. For many, the death of a loved one can be one of the most challenging emotional experiences of their lives, but can also be a time of immense growth, insight, gratitude, and genuine connection. Thank you for listening to me today. If you'd like to learn more about me, feel free to visit my profile page on MyWellbeing.com. I sincerely hope this small talk was helpful and that you learned something new about grief and loss. Take care.